There it is. Okay, so tonight we are going to talk about Reels. I know it's like a touchy subject for some, but I got over my fear of Reels, and now like I'm hooked, and I won't post any pictures on my feed because they're just not as fun for me to like create. Okay, so we're gonna jump right into it. First things first, I want to say there was a quote that I had found that I really liked. And it said, "Don't be upset by the results that you didn't get from the work that you didn't do." So if you feel like you're stuck and you're not growing on Instagram, you can't get frustrated if you're not trying to do the things that Instagram is really trying to push right now. Unfortunately, in this type of industry, we have to just kind of like keep up with what Instagram is making us do, right? So that said, we're gonna jump right into it. Don't mind me, I have like pages of like talking points. So do you feel like your reels are flopping? If you feel like you are posting content and it's not getting seen and it's not being engaged with, there's a couple of things that you might want to keep in mind. Do your reels have value? Are you adding value to your audience? Do you have unique selling points? Whether it's you're talking about your garden or you're talking about a product, like, is it something unique, right? Or is it something that's like really oversaturated? Do you have a content strategy? So when I was talking a couple of weeks ago about creating the pods, that's like a content strategy, right? Okay, week 1, I'm going to focus on greens. Week 2, I'm going to focus on armor. Week 3, I'm going to focus on vitalize. Okay, so those would be like, that would be like your content strategy. As far as like our business tools go, right? Like thinking about thinking ahead of time about the content you're going to be putting out there. Do you have a niche? If you don't have a niche and you're just posting anything at any point in time, that could be what is hindering your growth as well. And do you have a target audience, which goes along with having a niche, right? So personally, I like to put out content for the type of audience that I am trying to attract. And that's called attraction marketing. So I know Paige just jumped on the call. So Paige puts out like a lot of like gardening content, right? So she's going to attract the type of people that are into gardening like she is. So not only is she going to be able to talk about Q Sciences and our products, but Paige could also talk to these people about gardening, right? And that's how you create those really genuine relationships. People follow you, you follow them back, and your business will start to grow. Also, as you're putting out similar type of content, you're going to be seen by these people. They're going to be engaging with your content, and that's going to keep you, whether they follow you or not, you're going to keep showing up in their like explore or discover page of the reels. Because there are people who I don't follow, but I have liked their content before, and now I see their faces over and over and over again in my reels. So hold on one second. Sorry, like I said, I have pages of notes. So with that, like if you want homework, think about 3 pillars for yourself. Think about like how to kind of like niche down or like lock in the same type of content so that you're going to be attracting those types of accounts to help you grow your business, which goes back to what Alexi's call was about last week. So think of 3 pillars and try and stick to them for a month. Mine would be like farm life. So my cows could be gardening, mom life for me. And then lately, because I have heard people's responses, I've been talking a lot about hormones. So those would be my 3 pillars right now, would be farm life, mom life, and hormones. And so that's the type of content I'm going to be putting out on a consistent basis. It's the other thing, being consistent, super important. Some mistakes that you could be making that are going to keep people from engaging with your content could be that you're making it all about me. So when you're putting content out there, use you, right? Like, do you feel this way? Did you have a hard day? I don't know, like things like that. Like, yes, our testimonies carry so much weight when it comes to our passion about the products. Like, it's so easy to just hop on a reel and say, oh my gosh, these greens changed my life. I felt like this, I felt like this, and now I feel like this, I feel like this, right? Like, it's so easy because we love our product so much to just jump into like that me mentality. But instead of saying that, say, do you feel tired and sluggish? Do you get jittery from having coffee? Like, you think about things like that and then say, you would love these greens. Do you even, like, you know what I mean? You know our products, you know how to pitch the products, but shift it from like that me mentality and talking about yourself and help your audience. And are you using keywords? So the text across the screen on your reels, so many people watch reels in silence. It's not like TikTok where like the sound is always on. Reels, so many people watch them in silence. So captions, yes, they're okay, but a lot of people don't read the captions, right? Like, people don't have time to sit there and just read the captions. So that's why the keywords are so important. Now, we have to remember when we're using keywords that we stay compliant. We can't use words like depression and anxiety, but ADHD, right? You have words like hormones, anxiousness, you can say. You can talk about gut health. You can talk about feeling sad or down or bluesy. You can say like trouble focusing, right? Like, you have to think about those types of keywords. And again, bring it back to, do you feel, and then use these keywords across your screen as you're creating these reels. This will draw your target audience's attention and hopefully keep them watching your reel. And the longer that you have somebody watching your content, the longer they are going to keep watching, and the more Instagram is going to say like, oh, this is valuable content, and they're going to push it out to more people who follow along with those same, likes. And you providing information that your audience can use. So don't post reels without value. It's so easy to like hear these trends, just want to like copy something else and do it because it's fun. But if it's not providing value, and that's not the type of information that your audience, your ideal audience that you are trying to attract wants to, you're not going to have it, like, no one's going to engage with it. And then it's going to kind of like push you down in the algorithm. And is what you're putting out there something that's going to make someone stop and say, wow? Are you putting something out there that's funny, something that's relatable, something that is eye-opening, something, are you teaching something new? These are things that will help stop the scroll. So some stop the scroll ideas, moving your body. You don't have to dance. I like to dance. Energetic person, and I feel like a lot of my audience probably doesn't like to dance. They probably get a lot of entertainment about me trying to dance when I can't, but you don't have to dance. You can move your face, you can like roll your eyes, you can use facial expressions, use your hands, you could walk to the camera, away from the camera, hop on one leg, I don't care, but movement is going to capture someone's attention. The transitions are a lot of fun. Putting your hand into the camera and pulling it away and having a different look on, or being in a different place. You can snap, clap. You could headbang like I earlier today. And then the pace. You want to make sure that when you are moving in front of the camera, that you're not moving too slow, you're not moving too fast. Because if you're moving too slow, you're going to bore people. And if you're moving too fast, people can't keep up. And those are reasons that I would just continue to scroll. And make sure that if you are moving, that you're moving to the beat. You want to time your movement to the beat. The nice thing is that you can use the little alarm clock when you're filming, and it will have, like, you can drag it to where you want the audio to stop, so you can film multiple clips. So this goes with like lip syncing as well, because I see so many times when people are like lip syncing and it's way off or way delayed. So you want to be able to, like, you can drag it and then you can you the audio that it's about to play in that clip. And then you can do short things. So you don't have to remember like a whole trending dialogue or audio. And then let's see, sorry guys, showing your face. It's so easy to show product photos, show pictures that you're taking of the products, or just to show a mason jar that you're filling with your greens, right? It's so easy to just show products, but when you show your face, people get to know you. This goes back to what I said a little bit ago about how there were people who I had interacted with their reel, and so they kept popping up my explore page, right? Like I didn't follow them, I didn't know them personally, but they kept popping up and I knew who they were because they always showed their face in their reels. So when you're showing your face in your reel, you are really giving someone the opportunity to kind of like build up that rapport, that trust, like you're getting to know each other, right? Like when we all joined Q Sciences, none of us knew each other, but through following each other on social media and through our team chats and things like that, we've all gotten to know each other, right? Like I could pick y'all out in a crowd, and it's the same exact thing. You build trust, know people, and you let them get to know you. My leg is falling asleep. Through your reels. So blah, blah, blah. Show your face. And then, yeah, would you stop scrolling? The other thing I was going to say was, if you think about it, would you stop scrolling if you saw someone's package of greens sitting on the counter and then like just facts about the greens? Would that make you stop scrolling, or would you think it was kind of like, just another product thing and swipe by? So when you're creating content, just keep thinking like, is this something that would stop me? Or is this something that I'm just doing because I want to put content out there? And be original. Trends are a super fun way to stand out, but how can you take a trending audio or a dance or something like that and apply it to your own niche? Make it like very unique to you. And it's so simple. You know, it's super easy to just be so inspired by content that you're seeing other creators put out there. But don't copy ideas. And if you do feel like you're really overwhelmed and excited about something else that you saw, and you decide to recreate it, try and put your own twist on it, or credit the person that you found. I see that all the time where other creators are like, oh my gosh, I saw this hilarious thing that X, Y, and Z did, and so I just had to recreate it to show you. And there's nothing wrong with that, right? You could say like, I saw my friend Alexi do this and I just had to share too. And on that note, a lot of us get excited about specific stories that we see. Just don't just like screenshot and share it. Make it your own. My audience is different than your audience, is different than Paige's audience, is different than Kate's audience, is different than Katie's, Lacey's, like everybody, right? We all have a different audience. We don't need to be copy and pasting and sharing the same stuff with everybody. Just like make it your own. It's going to feel a lot better when you put your own stuff out there. Trending music. How to find trending music. Sorry, I'm rushing through this. I just want to try and keep it within our 30-minute time frame. At the bottom, when you're scrolling reels, and I wanted to say that Alexi's call last week was really about making lists, right? We want to make lists of people that we can really build strong relationships with through social media. A great way to do that is through reels, through the discover area of the reels, right? Because those are people who are already putting out content that is getting them seen. Those are the types of people you want to join your team. The people who know how to be seen, the people who know how to put out the content. So as you're engaging with these accounts, look down in the bottom left-hand corner. And if there's a diagonal arrow pointing up to the right, that means it's a trending audio. So you can click on the audio and it'll come up, and at the bottom, it'll say use audio. And at the top, it says save audio. And you would save that audio. But here's the thing with the trending audios, use them as possible. Don't wait 3 weeks. Use them within the next few days because they are constantly changing. And if you want to really like go above and beyond, if you have TikTok, what's trending on TikTok within a few days to a couple of weeks is going to be trending on Instagram. So you can save audio there as well. And the other way to find trending is if you're spending just a few minutes, right? Just a few minutes as you're scrolling through Reels, if you hear the same sound at least 3 times in like 10 minutes, you know that that's a trending audio, and you should probably save that and jump on that train really quickly. One thing that I think is really helpful that I know a lot of y'all do already is batch filming. So planning topics. So when I'm in the car, if I get an idea or I hear a song that makes me think of an idea, I will open notes on my phone and I will audio, like voice message to Siri my thoughts for a reel. So I have like a whole page of notes in my phone where it's like all just ideas for reels and how I can share different products, how I can share motherhood, how I can talk about my cows. Like it's a whole thing. And then you can get your inspiration from other reels. Pick a day to batch film. It's usually a day where I shower and I wash my hair. Or if I'm on like day 5 of not washing my hair and I've curled my hair, those are usually the days that I choose to batch film my reels, because I like to look decent when I'm putting my face out there. Again, it goes back to attraction marketing. I want to, attract people who like want to present themselves in a professional way or a fun way on social media. So that's what I try to put out there. And then 3 to 4 changes. Usually I wear the same pants. I'll just like swap 3 or 4 shirts. You can like do a hat, you can change your hair instead, whatever it is for you. And then you can film everything and then you can edit it later. You don't have to do everything at once. This doesn't have to take an hour. It could take 10 to 15 minutes to film these reels, and then you just save them to your drafts. When you're saving them to your drafts, make sure you're using that download button with the arrow, at the top of the screen, and make sure you're saving it to your phone too, because we've heard so many stories about how people have lost their content, and that is a major bummer. And like I said, you can edit later on. You can write your captions later on. You can tweak text on the reel later on. And then one other thing that I'm going to start doing is I'm going to start creating the cover photo. I'm going to do it in Canva so that when potential, ambassadors or anybody else comes to my feed and they go into my reels, it's going to be very like streamlined. It's all going to look, very nice and uniform and cute, I guess, because that's just the type of person that I am. But then let's see. Another thing that I have noticed is really helpful is after I post a reel, I will engage in that explore area or that discover area, like, in the middle where it's just like the little like action thing. You know what I'm talking about? At the bottom on Instagram, I'll go there and I'll click it and I'll so it's all new videos, and I will scroll and I will be very intentional with how I'm spending time for like 5 to 10 minutes. I will watch their videos for a couple minutes and I will comment. And if I like it, I'll send it to someone else, or maybe I'll share it to my stories, or maybe I'll just save it. But when I interact after I post my own reel, I notice a huge boost in my views. And then let's see, I talked about that. Lighting is really important. I'm doing this call right now with a ring light. Brittany Hitch taught me that trick because I was always like, oh my gosh, your skin always looks so good in all of your Zoom calls. How do you do it? And she's like, oh, I use a ring light. And I was like, that's smart. So if you don't have great lighting in your house and you want to film a reel, get a ring light or stand near a window, because statistics have shown that people are drawn to light and bright video content. So if it's like, like dark and shadowy, people are less likely to stick around and watch. And ring lights. I got mine, I think, for like $15 at Walmart. I saw them on Amazon for as cheap as $11. So they're like a really affordable thing that you can do that's gonna like make a difference, and it's gonna make you feel a lot better. Because when I don't use this ring light and I'm doing stuff, like I just don't feel as pretty, and that's shallow, and I know it. But one other tip that I just recently learned, see, laughing at me, B. One other thing that I recently learned is letting your stories expire. It's huge. So if you have a day where you're like, I'm going to share the crap out of this product on my stories today, like me with Vitalize, if you follow me, I had probably like, I don't know, 25 stories today about my testimony with Vitalize. But if you're wanting to share something that you want people to see, let all of your stories expire that day or like the day before and wait a full 24 hours before posting. My story views could go from 550 to like 1200 if I wait that like 24-hour period. There's a jump, and it doesn't matter what I'm sharing. If I'm sharing like, you know, a picture of like an egg, or if I'm sharing the Vitalize, like there will be a huge boost in my story views if I let it expire. And the reason that I say that is because it pertains to reels too, because if you share your reels from your feed when you post it to your story and you haven't, oh, what do I mean by expire? So like, you know, your stories on Instagram stay up there in that little bubble for 24 hours and then they're archived. So what I mean by let them expire, so like say I'm planning on sharing Vitalize on a Monday and I shared my last story on a Saturday. I won't post anything on Sunday so that when I wake up on Monday, I haven't shared anything to my stories for 24 hours or more. And then post, like literally within 2 minutes, I'll have over 100 views on a story, which is for me. Like that never happens. Normally I have like 5. People are like, Brittany, we don't care. Like, you know, I wait 24 hours if I have stuff that I really want to have seen. So like, that was like, I think it was actually Katie. I don't think she's on the call right now. I think it was Katie who had said that she noticed that, like she noticed the boost. And so then I tried it, and then I do it basically just when I know I have something that I'm going to say that I want a lot of people to hear. I will wait that 24-hour period. So like, I know a lot of us can take time off over the weekends off of our stories. So then coming back fresh on a Monday, and then using the question, like the engagement buttons, whether it's like you're putting up a poll or you're doing like one of those like little quiz things. And sorry, I was reading Karen's message. If you post, sorry, I'm going to read your messages. If you accidentally lose every Sunday, experts are saying if you post that first couple back with a poll or question. Yeah, jinx, exactly. So yeah, if you use a poll or like the question thing, like the quiz or a slider, if you use any of those things that when you swipe up, you can see them all there and get people engaging on that first story, especially, you're really going to see that jump. In your bio, that was, oh, hold on. Public account, public business account. That's important. I don't think you need to have 10,000 anymore to have a business account. But a public account is important because if you don't have a public account, you're seriously stifling your reach. People aren't going to be able to see, like the people who aren't following you won't be able to see your content if your account is private. So something to consider if you are trying to grow a business on Instagram is to not have a private account. And then the other thing I wanted to say was updating your bio, making sure that your bio, so if someone sees your reel, like if someone saw my reel on hormones and they were like, what do you know about hormones? They could go to my feed, which I actually do need to update my bio now that I'm talking about it. But they could go to my feed and they could say, oh, okay, well, she's a mom of 4. So obviously she's dealt with some postpartum stuff before, right? They could say, oh, she's into wellness and like, she's a crunchy mom. So obviously like, she's not going to try and like get me to take some crazy psychosomatic drugs or something, right? Like it's probably going to be something natural for my body. I can probably trust her word on this. So you don't have to be crunchy to have like a bio that makes people trust you, but think about what your niche is and what you're trying to attract. Think about yourself. If you found someone else on Instagram and you were like, oh, hey, I think we might like vibe, like, and you go and look at their feed, their bio is the first thing that you're going to see, right? To like learn about who they are at a quick glance, and then you're going to look at their content or their pictures or whatever. So it's all about trial and error. Anything that I have learned through social media is through trial and error. I mean, I've been in the blogging world for over 5 years now, and let me tell you, it's a lot of trial and error, but it's also a lot of consistency. I don't post reels every day. I post stories almost every day because that's like my friendship, right? Like people can see me, they respond to my stories, it starts conversations and it builds those genuine relationships. So I'm very consistent on my story. But I'm not really with the reels. And that's just because I'm kind of like really picky about what I put out there. I'm not one of those people who wants to just put everything out there just so I can post something every day. I would rather put out stuff that I feel like my audience wants to hear or that I know that they will engage with. So that's my like 5 pages of notes in less than 30 minutes, guys. I did it. Anybody have questions or anything you want to contribute, talk about? And thank you all for coming. You're probably muted, so if you want to talk, you can unmute yourself.
I have questions.
Yeah.
First off, thank you for having the Zoom. I was super excited to see you change your mind on that. So I guess like, first off, like I had like a whirlwind of a week last week, and like I took unintentional time off, and then I tried to jump back into things like yesterday, and I was like, where do I start? Like, does anybody ever feel that way? Like when you're out of momentum for a little bit and then you try to get back in and you're like, what's happening? Like I was like there, I was in it. And so today I was like, I need to do a reel. I need to do a reel. And I ended up just posting one that was in like my drafts or something just to like get my name out there. But I struggle with like content for my reels. Like I feel like every reel you go by is a bunch of network marketers marketing their product, and I feel like there's like something more to do that like captures people, you know what I mean? So like I struggle with like just like posting product. And so like Daniel G last night was saying like if you do like the top 3 reasons why college students are in network marketing, or the top 3 reasons why stay-at-home moms are in network marketing, like those are things that like get people's attention. And I was like, where do you even like find that information?
Well, you're a mom, Shelby. What would your top 3 reasons be for choosing network marketing? The community, the additional income. I mean,
I'm just saying like all those ideas are great, but like it's just like I can't, for some reason it's like I'm having like a mental block this week, and it's like I can't get it. It's like it's all mush. It's like I can't figure out what to do.
No, that's normal. I think we all kind of get like creator block.
Yeah, I think Shelby, that you're really guilty of when it comes to yourself, you freeze up, but if it's somebody else, you have all the ideas and you pour into them with your whole heart. So act like you're trying to help somebody else instead of yourself. And I think you'll find exactly the answers you're looking for.
Yeah. And I have a comment too on that, Shelby, because I read into that also. And I kept hearing this thing where people were like, write down who your target audience is, not generally, but like who that a single person would be. Who is that mom? Like, what does she struggle with? What is her favorite things? What does she do day in, day out? Give her a name. Like literally, what does she look like? And by breaking your target audience down to like a specific individual that you visualize in your mind, that's kind of how I get out of a rut sometimes. Like I would say with blogging, but I haven't posted in 3 months. But like what I used to do with blogging, and then with social media stuff, it sounds really silly, but I sat down one day and did it, just like typed it out on a note on my computer. And I was like, oh, because that's who you're trying to serve, right? So then it's like, it's not just about Q and the products, but like it kind of gives you ideas for, she also struggles with this, or she also really likes this. And then you can make reels about those other things too. And it's going to reach those people. Those people exist, but like you just kind of have to visualize that single person in your mind and write it down. I can send you an example of like who mine is if that would be helpful. Anyway, I don't know if that's too woo-woo, but
no, I think that's really good advice. I think we all kind of like have that one person in our mind that we're like, oh man, I would just like love for her to be here. And so like not even like thinking just about Q, right? Like just thinking about in life, like who like your dream person would be to be on Q. Doesn't have to be sharing Q Science's content. Like what content would attract that person to follow you and engage with your content? And that's really what attraction marketing is.
Yeah, that's the basis of good marketing, Madison. It's not woo. It's the basis of good marketing.
Yeah.
Any major company, that's what they do. They know exactly who they're talking to. And if you think about it, if you think of like all of the major brands that they have that iconic thing, and it's because they always go after the same person. They always approach everything the same way. People look for the Budweiser Super Bowl commercials. People know that a Nike check mark is Nike. Like if you think of it that way, the big brands are doing it, and we can adopt that and implement it for the people that we want to work with.
I had myself muted too. No, that's exactly what it is. You just have to think about the person that you're wanting to attract. And that's why I said, like, if you wanted to like walk away with something to do, to like think of 3 things. Think of 3 things to focus on this month. And I wanted to also say, Shelby, you're probably interacting with those network marketing reels. And that's why you keep seeing those network marketing reels. So if you like, I interact with like all the farm mamas and all the cow stuff. So literally I will tell you 90% of the reels that I see are like people standing in a barn. And that's just how the algorithm, like that Instagram is incredible. It knows what you're looking at. It knows what you're interacting with. So if you start looking or like interacting with or using hashtags that are geared towards that person that you're trying to attract, you're going to start seeing as well. And that'll give you, those ideas for content that aren't just network marketing related, if that helps.
Well, I've heard, okay, so you know how there's like all these like social media marketing coaches that are on Instagram as well, telling you like what you need to do, what you don't need to do, blah, blah, blah. I've seen don't use hashtags, and then I've seen use hashtags. So like, what's the correct answer?
I have no idea. I always use hashtags. I notice a big difference in my own growth when I use hashtags, and I always use hashtags that are relevant. So maybe it's not helping people see my content more. I don't know, but I know that the hashtags that I'm using is exactly the type of content that I am seeing in my feed when I'm scrolling. So like, for example, when I did like after the My Q Fit challenge and I did that video and I went from like my before pictures that were super cringy to like my after video, I started seeing a ton of fitness content when I was scrolling reels. And it's, I think, because of the hashtags that I used in the video that I put out, and because of the people who were interacting with that were people who were part of that like fitness world. I don't know. I mean, I wish I understood Instagram more. I'd probably have a lot more followers and stuff than I do, but
So I don't know what hashtags are what. I just make hashtags up. Like,
so think about what you search. What would you search? So for me, like, so blog worlds go way back, brand repping, blogging, mom togs. Like I'm going like back like 6 years when I first got started, back when I met Whitney. But mom life was a huge one. Mom life, momin, motherhood through Instagram. Like these were all really big hashtags. And back when you could start following hashtags, like I still have them come up in my feed, hashtags that I followed forever ago. So I don't know, for me, I still use hashtags because I know that people who have been in the Instagram game as long as I have, who followed hashtags, those were the ones that they were following. Kay says there's an app called Hashtag Expert. So that's helpful too. But I always think about like what would I search for? If I were looking for, girl moms, like if I were trying to like sell a cute little dress and I knew I needed to sell it to a bunch of girl moms, I would look up hashtag girl moms, right? Or like for me, when I'm looking for design inspiration for a room, for like boys rooms, I'll look up boys rooms and I'll search that hashtag. So like think about what it is that you would search for that is that's related to your content, and use those hashtags. Sorry, guys.
So the app is really cool because you can do that in the app. So you can choose which hashtags that you want to generate. So it could be anything from, like you said, like mom life or whatever. And it can either group them of what's popular within that realm, or you can even add to it too. Like you could do, mom, whatever, and then do another hashtag where you're looking up health, and then it can kind of generate that too. And then I'll just copy and paste those and put those in my notes.
That's super helpful. I'm gonna have to look into that. Learning all the tips. But yeah, so that's good. So I'm a believer in hashtags. I think they're effective. I think people still search hashtags, and I think that if they don't search hashtags, it at least helps Instagram know what exactly your vision, it knows who to push it out to at the very least. So but does anybody have any more questions before I go put Nora to bed? Because it is past her bedtime. Y'all? Anybody? No? All right. Well, I had this idea. So like, since our pods were like, people were having fun with those, I thought that if I created a new group on Facebook of everybody who is on this call and like had all these little tidbits, I'm going to drop the recording in there if you wanted to go back and watch it back. But I thought that it would be fun if, while we are all on this journey together, pushing our videos out there, if it was just a place where we could drop our videos when we post them so we can engage with them and just really support each other and try and help each other grow so that we can all reach our ideal audiences and businesses can grow. And I just like supporting everybody. So if that's something that you're into, just I'll put something in the main chat and then you can just double tap on it with your favorite emoji or something. And I'll know to add you because I don't want to put anybody in there against their own will because we've got lots of groups, I know. So I want to say thank you for showing up tonight. Oh, did anybody see my story about my giveaway? Oh, I didn't see it. Jess has a story up about her spray giveaway. So I'll go look at it as soon as I'm off, Jess. But yeah, I will drop something in the group chat. If you want to be added to our new group, just double tap on it. And yeah, let's have a great month of March. I'm excited. So thanks for showing up, guys. Bye.
Bye.